we should be able to shoot these guys. There we go. We did some damage. Oh, this is really tough to aim. especially if you're flying around. Oh man, this is gonna be great. Oh no, this is gonna be a hard game. I got him. What's up, everybody? Axe Wizard here. Where we left off, we had just programmed our ship to fire a bunch of weapons and handle this all independent of one another and dynamically. So you see I've got two different types of weapons firing. And let me just turn around. Oh god, I'm gonna look off the screen. Where am I? Okay, I could keep going. Let me just slow down. So this is gonna be part of the fun of this game, is gonna be just controlling your stupid ship to make it go where you want it to go. So here I've got some weapons that are shooting at different rates. I've got some projectiles that are going farther. So I think this is working pretty well. So now what we're going to do is let me remove these demonstration weapons that I added to this ship here, just to verify that our system works, and it does. So that's good to go there. Now we needed to also handle independent firing weapons. So in my mind, there's two types of independent weapons. There's one that will fire where your mouse is currently pointed. I don't know if I want to make that happen. I kind of just want turrets to just be automated, because I think that especially once you start getting a lot of ships in there and you start getting a lot of bullets going around, keeping track of your cursor is going to be really difficult. So I actually think I want to make this game to where the cursor's hidden when you're in space, and you'll have to like just navigate through controls and stuff like that. So yeah, that's going to be a fun bridge to cross when I start working out like UI and stuff like that. So I think for now we're just going to work on automatic targeting. So let's add an enemy ship. So I'm going to duplicate this sprite, and I'm going to name this, SPR placeholder ship 2. And I want to modify, I'm going to close this one here. That way I don't get confused. I want to modify this one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make this a super obvious red color. Why did that not work? There we go. So this is clearly a bad guy ship, right? Come on. There you go. So save. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to create an object. Create object. Just for now, I'm going to say object test enemy, because I don't want to do anything with this guy. I just want to test some logic. So I'm going to set his sprite to be the placeholder ship. There, save. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some test enemies around the map here, so that we can try shooting them. There we go. So we've got some test enemies. We're going to create some variables though. So we need to have, let's see, define some variables. So we're going to have hit points. So usually, like, for some reason, I always use the variable called life, because if you look at health, it's a built-in variable, and I don't like how GameMaker sort of uses that, so I don't want to mess with that. So I'm just gonna, I usually just did life because I didn't know what to do with that before, but it's so much easier to use HP. I don't know why I don't do that before. So I'm just gonna do HP equals, we'll say 10, right? And we'll say, yeah, we'll just do HP 10. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a step event that make sure, we're going to ensure we can die. So what we're going to do is if life, not life, HP, sorry, is less than 0, less than or equal to 0, die. We're going to do instance destroy. There we go. So now we have a working dummy enemy. Now, one thing that we're gonna do here, chances are I might have a few different enemy objects, depending on like if I need to make AI changes or stuff like that. I could probably make it work with just one enemy object, but there's a very good chance I might have several different types of enemies. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a parent object, create object. I'm just gonna call this OBJ bad guys. OBJ bad guys. There we go. And I'm not going to do anything with this object. It's just going to be an empty object. What I'm going to do is that for my test enemy, under parent here, I'm going to set this to be a child of OBJ bad guys. So the reason why I'm doing this is because in the event that I do have to make several different types of enemies, actual enemy objects, I can just target object bad guys rather than create logic to target each individual other object. I don't want to do that. I just want, hey, there's a bad guy, shoot it. So I'm gonna just say I'm gonna make all my enemies a child of object bad guys, and I can just target the parent, and it will actually just target anything that is a child of that parent, which is really cool. So now for our projectile, we have to be smart about this. I'm going to say create object, and I'm going to make this one called OBJ good guys. Because guess what? I might have other friendly ships that are not controlled by me. So on my player ship, I'm going to set my parent to be object good guys. So now we're going to have to change our projectile code here. So in the create event, I'm going to put a comment here. Expected to be overwritten when instance is created. So I had expire set here, but I'm also setting expire here when I create a projectile. So I wanted that comment there. And I also want to determine who we should be hitting. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to put enemy equals true. Defaults to targeting enemies. So what I can do is that I can program behavior based on, you know, what we're going to be doing. So for example, I'm going to add an event. I'm going to add a collision event. I'm going to add an event with object bad guys, right? So what I'm going to do is that if this collides with a bad guy, I want to first check that are we intended to hit a bad guy. So I'm going to say if enemy, and since enemy is a boolean and I want it to be true, I can just put if enemy. Again, that's the same as if equals true. It's the same as that. If enemy, yes we are, do some damage. So now we also need to keep track of how much damage should we do. So I'm going to put damage, I'm going to put equals 0. I'm going to put expected to be set when instance is created. There we go. So we've got damage. So that means that going back to our weapons here, we're also going to have to keep track of how much damage each weapon does. So that's going to be fun. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to create a damage. Now, there's two ways that we can do this. Now, we could randomize it, or we could just define one attack. So, for example, a light cannon could just do 5 damage no matter what. A medium cannon could do 8 damage. A large cannon can do 12 damage, like no matter what. Or we can add a range. So, you know, a light cannon does, say, 3 to 5 damage. A medium cannon does, say, maybe 8 to 12. A large cannon does maybe, I don't know, 10 to 14. So I think I'm going to go with the randomized route. So I'm going to do damage min, and I'm going to say we're going to do 3, damage max, and I'm going to say 5. So now I'm going to add this because this is the same type of weapon. So this goes after offset direction. And I'm going to add this to my document comments here as well, because this is how I'm keeping track of how this is used. Minimum range of damage calculation that a projectile fired from this weapon does. Okay, it's probably not good English there, but I understand it. I think that other people could probably understand it too. This will be a maximum. There we go. So we've got that updated. So damage 3 to 5. So now we've got our damage range stored. Whenever we create a projectile, we also need to calculate our damage. So we are going to also do proj.damage equals, and we're going to randomize this range. Now, we're going to use a function. Now, if you type in random, you can see we've got random range, and we also have irandom range. Random range uses like decimals. So if we do 3 to 5, it might give me 3.9 or 4.25. We don't want to do those partials. We want to do integers, which are just whole numbers, 3 to 5. So it could do 3, 4, or 5 damage. And that's what irandom range is. So we're going to do irandom range. And the minimum and maximum that we're going to use is from our P weapons here. So I'm just going to copy this so I don't have to type it all the time. So P weapons dot damage min and P weapons dot damage max. There we go. So we're setting the damage of our projectile. Cool. So we've done that. So we've got damage now. So if we go back to our collision event here, yes we are, do some damage. So yes we are. Now make sure the other instance exists. So with collision events, this is something that we have to do, is that whenever we're referencing another object, we want to make sure that it still exists. So there might be a case to where we collide with this instance, but it might be destroyed by the time this code runs because of how GameMaker prioritizes some stuff. So to prevent our game from crashing, we always want to make sure that the instance exists before we try modifying any other values from it. Now, we're not doing that here because I literally just created the instance before running this. So it's guaranteed to exist. If it doesn't exist, it's because GameMaker crashed doing something and we have a whole different problem. So we want to make sure that if we're like in the middle of our gameplay, if we're interacting with an already existing object, we want to make sure that it still exists just to prevent game from crashing. So what we can do here is if instance exists. Now the collision event gives us a handy keyword called other. Now this is really handy because we're colliding with object bad guys. So other game maker sets other to be equal to the instance ID of the instance that we just collided with. So we don't have to do some tomfoolery to try to find that. Game maker just gives us that for us in this other. If we were doing manual collision code, then we have to be a bit creative, and that can get a bit messy. So try to use collision events if you can, because it'll make your life a lot easier in most cases. So yes, we are. Make sure other instance exists. Other instance does exist. Let's deal some damage. So now we can do other dot HP minus equals damage. So we're going to reduce the HP of our enemy that we're going to hit by the damage that we have. So this should be working now. So if we hit play on this, we should be able to shoot these guys. There we go. We did some damage. Oh, this is really tough to aim. especially if you're flying around. Oh man, this is gonna be great. Oh no, this is gonna be a hard game. I got him. Gonna get that guy. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. I'm gonna get him. There we go, I got him. I'm a god. I'm amazing at this game. Even though it has nothing to do that I created it, I'm a god. I'm amazing. So there we go. We've got damage working. One thing I do want to do to make this a little cleaner is for our object bad guy. I'm also just going to make it so our sprite animation isn't playing. So I'm going to do image speed here as well, equals 0. There. Now they're just a bunch of dead derelict ships floating around waiting for me to blow them up. Cool. So we've got our projectiles firing and colliding with enemy ships. So now that we've got that, well, let's see. How long have I been recording for? 17 minutes already. Okay. Tell you what, let's stop this episode here. And then in the next episode, we're going to tackle what I was originally trying to do, tackling this to-do with handling independent firing weapons. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.